Hi, everybody, and welcome to my channel. I'm Saira, and I am so excited for this episode where we have an amazing spiritual teacher. She has been sharing her journey, her mission for being here is all about supporting us in humanity to evolve and yeah, just evolve into this evolution of the ascension. And she's channeled a book, The Divine Design. I don't know if you've guessed it yet, but she is very much I would say like in the forefront of really just sharing this spiritual battle that we can find ourselves in, and also how she's truly connecting in with the light of God through Yeshua, Jesus, which has been very profound in my life since joining her community. And I've done many courses, and I've been watching, yeah, Lorie Ladd for since the lockdown, really, and I've actually witnessed her journey to where she is now. And I just want to say thank you so much, Lorie, for being on this channel and saying yes to coming on.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for that introduction. Very sweet of you. It's good to be here. I'm happy
Yeah,
to have this time with you and your audience.
yeah, great. Honestly, it's so exciting that I get to have these conversations and just be able to be come to these conversations really curious like a child, and
Yeah.
like I don't, we don't, the more we go on this journey, the more we realize we know nothing. And I think
Yeah.
that is actually becoming so much more prevalent because you think you've got it figured out. You are, you're on your spiritual journey, and then kind of like new lenses get put on and you see things very differently. And so you have been very aware of would you say, like, spirituality, and you've been very much in, shall we say, new age from a very young age, the age of 13, and always knew about that you would have a mission. And so talk to us about that time when you start to have this realization that you had a mission and it was bigger than you, and it was part of your reason for being here. What does that look like, and why did that come to you, do you think?
Yeah, great way to start. Yeah, my mom was really spiritual, really very much in the new age world. And so from a very young age, I started reading books at 12, 13 years old about everything and anything I could get my hands on. And it all just resonated. It all just made sense. I mean, I knew about all the corruption way back then. Nothing's a surprise to me. I can see through everything. But I also was born with this innate knowing of how this is works, like how the evolution happens, how ascension is happening. It's like I came in with this book of information. I don't know where I got it, and I just know what's happening. Um, so I don't have to kind of read and gain knowledge on what's happening. It's in me. And so around 13, I remember I heard these like kind of like galactic-y type voices saying, you're going to help humanity through the ascension. And this was like 1989. So we thought like back then, like the group thought, the big thought was that the earth was going to literally like destroy itself, and that humanity would have to kind of be lifted off the planet in some capacity, or we would just all kind of die in this process. And so I just always knew that I would be assisting people through that process. Um, and it felt like a really big process that was like humanity would need help, big time. And so I was told that this was what I was going to do, but of course I had no idea what that meant. I just was like, oh yeah, that resonates. That makes perfect sense. And then I spent the next, 30 years playing and living a normal life and going to college and, all the things, never really wanting to really commit to whatever this was that I was supposed to do, but always knowing that it's there. Like I can't ignore it. As eventually, Laura, you're gonna have to like give up the mundane, regular world and life and turn to this and start doing this. And so I did in 2016, 2017 is really when I started. Again, I had no idea what I was doing, but I had the ability to channel, which I didn't even know I could do. So I started channeling, and again, I had all this knowledge. So I started just talking and teaching this knowledge. And it was very out there. It was very, very new age, very galactic, very quantum, very yeah, just high level type of like stuff. And anyway, it just kind of unraveled, and I wrote a book about the actual kind of design of this evolution and how it works. Um, and now I find myself sitting here writing a book with the amazing Yeshua, and connecting to a God I never understood was even possible. I just always thought that I was God, and that didn't need to look anywhere else but within. And that's a big program that I've come to terms with. And yeah, like, so there's always, I mean, evolution is this natural process of unraveling more, right? That is evolution. We should never be stuck in the same thoughts. We should never be stuck in the same beliefs. We should never really be stuck in the same anything. The evolution is change, constant change, evolving. And so my journey and my teachings, although it's always been in the foundation of assisting humanity through this evolutionary shift, the ascension, it's taken on different hats the last 8 years. And the hat that I'm standing in right now is this deep, deep awareness that we've been disconnected energetically from the light of God. And it doesn't take much, just that remembrance and plugging back in. Um, but it's been a huge, huge um, takeover on the planet, a spiritual battle. And that was a big aha awareness that Yeshua gave me. And he continues in the last, 6 months of really teaching me what we've forgotten around what's actually happening on the planet as humans energetically with our connection to the light of God, and all the different programs that we find ourselves in because of that. So it's been an interesting ride. And like you said, I think I know, and then I'm like, I don't know, because I would never have imagined that this is where I would be at ever, in this deep connection with Jesus, and this deep connection with God, and this daily obedience and commitment to serving them through my vessel, through my work, through my voice. And it's what I'm noticing, and I don't know if you're noticing this, but what I'm noticing is that it just keeps getting more simple and more simple and more simple. And I'm recognizing that the answer is always just God. And everything else is extra, and everything else is the pleasures and the enjoyments of being on the planet. But it really is about us learning how to dance again, human and God. And how do we do that? And when we can start practicing that, we begin to advance into the way we are designed to be on this planet, which is that beautiful energetic dance between God and human inside the human vessel. So it's like God's in here dancing with the Lorie that wants to be Lorie, you know, and how that works. It's profound, it's powerful, and it's freaking awesome. Like, it's just the best. It's the best time. I'm so excited for humanity to recognize all this. Like, life's gonna get so good, I promise.
Yeah, I hear you there. I mean, I don't know about you, but have you just, it definitely becomes more simple when you plug back into the light of God. But there is a kind of shift where it's like you can kind of go, especially for me, when I started connecting with Yeshua, and that was starting on your 3 day Yeshua class earlier last year. And
Yeah.
I was so excited. I didn't know why, but I was so excited to join that class. And I was just like a little kid, and it changed everything. And so, how did that initial like connecting in with Yeshua, and maybe learning about him and the spiritual battle, how was that process? Because was things being revealed to you that you was like, oh wow, this is different, this is new? How was that transition?
It was really hard. Like, I mean, a couple years ago, I thought it would be cool to kind of just learn from Jesus, because I knew he was like, I saw Jesus as a master. I saw him as someone that like mastered the human experience. I didn't want anything to do with religion. I didn't want anything to do with like bowing down and like, being obedient. No, I don't do that, right? I was like, I just want to learn from you, Jesus, and like, don't throw me all the other nonsense, I really was just wanting to learn from him. And that was like 2.5 years ago. And and I don't even like the roller coaster ride I've gone on since then has just been. I remember when I first really connected to Jesus's energy physically, like in front of like one of his statues outside. That changed my life because I was about to go do a talking event that night, and I was in Amsterdam, and I saw the statue, and my whole body went into I don't go to church, so I never really see that statue of him, against the cross. And so when I saw it, my whole body, this was before I was like, Jesus, I want to learn from you. My whole body was vibrating. And I was like, I have to go out to this statue. I have to go stand in front of it. And when I stood in front of it and I heard him so vividly, and I felt his pain. I started crying. I could feel not his pain from being on the cross, his pain for humanity, the suffering that humanity was in. And I felt that pain he felt for humanity. And I felt how all he wanted to do was serve humanity and help them get out of suffering. Um, that changed me. I was like, holy cow, this is so real. It was the realest thing I've ever experienced, and I think that's what's blown me away about Jesus is how real he is. And anyway, I could talk for hours about this, but when I invited him in and said, I'd love to learn from you, it was about, I don't know, maybe a year later. I was just connecting with him every once in a while and sitting with him. But it got real serious in December of 2024 when, for whatever reason, I was like, all right, I'm ready to commit my life to God and to Jesus. Like, I'm going to hand everything to you guys. I don't know what happened. Like, nothing happened where I was like, this is a great idea. Do this. It just was like, this is what you're doing next. So I remember I was sitting here at my desk, and I remember feeling like I was calling in like that light of God, and then Jesus was there, and I was like, all right, I want to hand my whole life to you guys. Like, from this point forward, I think I was tired of the nonsense of kind of like how my businesses run and how businesses are run out there. And no shade on anyone, but I was just so freaking sick of it. I was sick of how social media works. I was sick of how marketing works. I was just like, I'm so over this. It just feels so fake. It feels so fake. I can't do this anymore, you guys. And so I basically was like, well, you know what? What do I have to lose? I'm going to hand everything to you, God. I'm going to hand everything to you, Jesus. Use my body, use my work, use my voice, use everything. And that is when everything changed. And that's when Yeshua came into my life very loudly from that point forward. I got attacked that night by demons. Um, like I had to go to the ER. I went into like a psychotic break. It was really, really crazy. Never had a demonic attack ever in my life. Didn't even believe in demons. And then here I go, like really saying yes. And it was like, oh, no, you don't. We own you. We need you here. We need you in this darkness, right? Um, and that's when Yeshua came in, and all of 2025 was him leading me and guiding me to this place where I am now, writing a book with him and sitting with him every day, all day, being so disciplined by him. He introduced me to God, which is like so crazy because I was like, no, I'm God. I'm God. I'm God. I'm God. God's here. God's here. By the way, P.S., I'd never actually felt God, but I was like, no, God's in here. I am God. But Lorie, had you ever felt God? Well, sure, I'm God. I'm the light. I'm the light, and then Jesus is like, let me show you God. And it was like this profound light that came in. I'm like, oh, 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 right. And so there's just so many things that have blown my mind. The Holy Spirit has blown my mind coming into the body, taking over. the profound miracles that Jesus can do in your life. I mean, I have received, I don't even know, countless miracles, but one very profound miracle through fasting. Um, that blows my mind. Like it'll never not blow my mind that some energy that's not even physically on the planet can come in and heal people instantaneously from anything. Anything. It's like I can't comprehend that, and it's real. And when you have these things happen over and over again, how can you not commit your whole life to that? Do you know what I mean? Like I could never imagine turning my back on Jesus. I could never imagine not working for Jesus ever. And the crazy thing is that I'm not religious. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a Christian. I don't go to church on a regular basis. I read the gospel when Jesus tells me to read the gospel. I read whatever he tells me to read. I do whatever he tells me to do. But he's never said, go become a Christian. He's never said, go become a Catholic. He's never said, go to church every Sunday. Never has he given me that discipline, right? I mean, every week there's a discipline list he gives me of things to do, and that's not one of them. So it's just been really challenging and interesting to come from a real new agey type of galactic channeling space to God and Jesus. And when you know someone as well as I know Jesus, I know people they don't know him, so they can't know what I'm trying to share because they don't know him yet. And so the only thing they know is like the program around it, right? Like, oh, Jesus means dot or God. God means that I'm, you know, giving over my power and my this. And it's like, first of all, P.S. If you had any of the miracles that I had in my life, you would hand everything over to this. Like, there's nothing disempowering about it. That's the program, right? It's like, it's very disempowering. You don't want to hand that over. You can do it yourself. It's like, really? I could? Huh. It's weird. 25 years of my life never was able to, but okay, I'll just keep buying into that loop that I'm designed and supposed to be healing all this on my own, right? There's like so many aha moments I've had with Jesus around the deep programs, the strongholds, the addictive behaviors that we're pulled into for the sole purpose of keeping us from God, the light of God. It's been a ride. It's been a ride. It's as you know, it's not easy to kind of have your world sort of shift and your lens shift, and all of a sudden you can't go back, and now you're having to like move forward. And it's just like, oh God, how are people gonna deal with this? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like, yeah, I mean, my mind's been blown, if I'm honest, with this new lens. It's been gifted to me, but there's a transition, right? It's not always easy when you're like, oh, right, okay, so what does this mean? Like, I went through this whole thing, like, what does it mean? Do I have to be a Christian now? Do I have to go to church? Do I need to read the Bible because I'm not religious? And I'm realizing no, like you can connect in with God, you can connect in with Yeshua without that. And I'm just being led by the Holy Spirit, by Yeshua now, and just trusting, because what this has done for me is just give me so much deeper faith. And I'm not seeking outside myself for the next thing anymore. And like the loops that we find ourselves in, would you say that you, before you came to Jesus and God, was in that loop? Or did you, yeah, you kept, because we can just
It's
get in,
all a loop. Like it's
yeah.
anything that's outside of God is the loop, and we're all in them. Okay. But
Mm,
like, how do you know, like, how can you, like, what's a loop, right? Well, a loop is just an idea or a system of beliefs of how you do things. So for a real big one for me was like self-help. Like I it was always about me doing it. I'm going to figure it out, the solution. I'm going to find the solution. I'm going to fix this. Now I'm going to fix this. Now I'm going to figure out how to get rid of limiting beliefs. Now I'm going to figure out how to sit in mindfulness. Now I'm going to learn how to just move emotions through the body. All of that is great. I mean, I freaking nailed all of that, right? But it's still, the way I see it is like it's still inside the game. Your head's still down. Do you know what I mean? So like even if I'm channeling or I'm doing all this stuff, I'm still any if so long as I'm not connected to God, I am still in these systems and loops that the control systems want us to be in. So it's like, yeah, that's great. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. And it's a looping because what ends up happening is you never get out of it. You're just finding the next thing to fix. You're finding the next enlightenment stage to get to, right? You're trying to like one up the last thing you did, or now you got to pivot and go do this little thing. There's always like things to be doing. And when you find God, and when you really, it's not even finding God, when you breathe God's light back down into your body, which is really what has been disconnected from us. The core, the energies have been disconnected. The core's never disconnected. People get this, they get so upset with me when I say that we've been disconnected. They're like, I am God. How could I be disconnected? It's the energy. It's like a pipe that's not working, right? The water's not flowing. The pipe's still connected to the sink. We're still connected to Creator, but the energy hasn't been flowing. It's been infiltrated. So when that energy starts coming in, every answer you've ever wanted starts to become clear. Everything you've ever needed, you're starting to realize you don't need anything other than this light. Of course, we need life, we need relationship and food and like doctors, or eventually we won't. But like, yeah, we need like the regular things. But in terms of these loops that we've been doing, it starts to go away. Like God fills you up. And you're like, what the heck is this? Like, what? God has all the answers. And like, yes, you're an aspect of that, but we are so dense. We are in so much mind control. We are in so much disillusionment right now that to start to live God like, it's going to take a long time. So we need that dissonance. We need the difference between me and God. I need to feel that difference so that I can recognize who I've been and I can recognize who God is as that energy, and I can start to merge those two. But if I think I'm God, right? Or if I think I'm separate from God, right? So then there becomes a pedestal. God's here and I'm here, or I am God. Both of those are dangerous because when you think you're God, then you have no awareness of God because you're so programmed. You're in a massive amount of manipulation, pride, greed. These kind of seven deadly sins. Go look at the list. I guarantee you, there you're going to find yourself there, right? And to believe that you are God would then equal that you're not going to be on that list of the seven deadly, your behaviors won't be there. So you're not God. You're an aspect of God that's in a massive amount of disillusionment. And then that separation, right? Where you have like, oh, God's way up here and I'm going to bow down and be like, oh, I'm a bad person. That's dangerous as well, because then you are literally don't believe that you can sort of merge with that and that there is a coming together or co-creation, right? So it's for me, I've been noticing how like it's this dance and these loops that we find ourselves in, they dissolve. You start looking out at the world like we've been fed so much. We've been fed. You find peace, calm, joy, a flow, like safety. Like you just start living life like you're good, even if crap happens, even if like crazy stuff happens in life, and somebody disappoints you, or you lose your job, or all of a sudden you've got a big bill that came in the mail, or you screwed something up, and all life happens. But when you are living with and walking with the light of God moving through you and Yeshua walking right beside you, it's the whole, everything changes. Everything changes. And I believe it's the next phase for humanity. I believe it. It's an absolute knowingness I have. And I won't stop talking about it because I really believe that it's the next big awakening for humanity is that plugging back in and being like, wait, what? It's that easy? It's simple? It's free? What? Like you can't unsee it once it starts to happen.
And it's just the simplicity of it, isn't it? And I think that, everything outside of us and not connecting in with that is all to pull us away from that. And I think you've mentioned before, it's like, do whatever you are, connect channel, do all of these things, they manifest, earn all of that. And but if they don't care as long as you're connecting in, not connecting in with that light of God, because it is so simple. And you said about you thought that Yeshua was the master before. So how do you see him now then? If do you still see him as a master, or how do you see him now?
No, I do not see him as a master. I see Jesus as the incarnation of God. And that is what he has told me time and time again. Um, he did not just come down and master the human, he came down and embodied God, and did it while still having to be in density. And I think people kind of, I think that's the piece that people kind of are like, you, it's a complex conversation to kind of have, but it's also quite simple. But he brought in the signature of God. We brought in souls. Okay, it's very different. We brought in a God particle, which is an aspect of God, and we brought in our soul, which is an aspect of our spirit, which is an aspect of God. Very watered down. Okay, Jesus brought in God, and Jesus brought in God with the blueprint of being God in form, 100% pure God, and to show humanity who they are and how to connect because they've been disconnected. And to do this for thousands of years from now, he will still be doing this work on the planet. It's not just our lifetime in the last 2000 years. And so no, it's a disservice by saying, in my opinion, that he's just a master that's incarnated over and over again. No, he's not. No, no, no. Um, he had to do a lot of training in order to be able to anchor that light in the midst of human, in thought and in emotion. He wasn't elevated out of the human experience. So he wasn't floating like a lot of the yogis and a lot of the a lot of the really enlightened masters were so out of body because they were so in that higher realm that they could barely, a lot of them weren't even functioning, right? Yeshua was a human. He walked and talked and did all the human stuff. He was very human. And so to be able to integrate the light of God fully as God in form, it's a massive task that he had to undertake and a lot of training. Um, and he had, lo and behold, the Holy Spirit come down into his body. Like, that's weird. Like, if the Son of Man, if God himself came down into the vessel, right? This is why I will stand on this mountaintop that we have to plug into the light of God and bring it in, because even Yeshua did it. Like even Yeshua had the baptism and John saw the light of God come into his body. Why? Why was that necessary? Why was that a necessary piece? Why did he do it in front of people? Why did other people have that experience? Why? Because he was showing people that the light of God needs to descend back down into the human body. This is the big spiritual battle. This is what we have forgotten. And it's not hard. And he's here to show that. So the more I'm learning, the more I'm like, oh, okay. Because I was like you, I'm like, am I supposed to be Christian? Am I supposed to like, am I all of a sudden going to be like in the Bible all the time? Like, what is this? Am I going to like, I was like, I had a coming to Jesus. I had like a crisis, right? Oh my God, is this where you guys are taking me? Because I will go wherever they take me. I'll go where Jesus says, where God directs me. But um, I started peeling it back and I was like, oh, okay, okay, this feels better. This feels right, you know? And so trying to find our own way through it is sticky because the programming is so deep with Yeshua, you know? It's so
Yeah,
deep.
and even for me, when I started to, because I'm realizing the power of prayer, oh my God, especially with fasting. But even like, because I say Yeshua and even say the name Jesus, I noticed there was a bit of resistance saying Jesus, and because I'm not from a religious background, and even saying Amen at the end of a prayer, I noticed there was this little, oh, I don't like that, and I was saying, and so it is, and now that's dissolving as well, and it's interesting how the programming, and I'm seeing the programming so clearly now. It's just it's fascinating to watch with these new lenses and coming from a different viewpoint. And so I
Yeah.
just it's so simple. And from my experience, you know, since really bringing in that light, so much has changed in my life for the better. Like I cannot like yeah, so much. It's just been profound. And so, one of the things that's been really profound, which I didn't know about, but the level of awareness around it is just becoming so much more clearer, is the spiritual battle. And you said that obviously you had this experience with the demonic energies. Before that experience, was you aware of a spiritual battle and how, like, it's really like affecting so many of us right now?
I did not understand. I understood the spiritual battle from a much higher perspective, energetically, in terms of frequency. So, very very like not grounded in kind of the human experience spiritual battle. So it was like, yeah, there's frequencies that are shifting. There's energies on the planet that are trying to hold that frequency down. It was very high level, energetic, quantum frequency. It was not grounded in kind of, well, how is that impacting the human experience type of thing. Um, and I think that's why it's a lot of that more kind of new age stuff just isn't vibing any longer with me because it's like, yo, we got to be human and we got to look at how it's impacting our everyday lives and our behavior. And so it's very tricky the way that Jesus showed, and Jesus showed this to me. I'd never under really saw it, but um is that it is a battle between light and dark, right? Where light is, I just wrote about this yesterday, kind of depicting it a little bit more. Light would be leaning into God, right? Looking at God. That would be the light. So you're facing God, you're focused on God, you're connecting to God. That's would be like, okay, so first of all, for any of those people that are going to argue this, everything's light. I'm aware of this. And yes, it's all God. But there's free will, and in free will we get to choose how we're going to experience ourselves. We get to experience energies, and so energies, depending upon their frequency and depending upon how they are, their velocity and speed, it's going to have a different impact and experience. So yes, it's all light, but darkness exists in that light as different aspects of light. So we have the light, which is us humans basically turning to God, okay, facing God. And we have the dark, which is basically turning away from God. And so what's happening on the planet right now is that for about 7,000 years, there have been these hybrid type humans that came onto the planet. And they're in the Bible, the Nephilim. They're in Genesis um, and the Book of Enoch. So it's not, I'm not making this up, you know. The Bible talks about it. Anyways, these beings came in 7,000 years ago, and they took over the planet. They started running the entire planet, and what they did was they first and foremost disconnected or uh, kind of blocked the energetic light coming in. Obviously, that's the first thing they were going to do. The second thing they did is they started to infiltrate the mind through temptation. Why did they use temptation? Well, because temptation is hard to deny. Like, we have desires. We are innately, as a human, we desire things, right? And so we desire pretty things. We desire nice sounds. We desire good foods. We desire intimacy and connection. Like, there's desire. They knew this. So they knew that if they could tempt human with desire, you would be facing outward. Okay, so now not only is this energetic cord no longer flooding in so that we could remember, oh my God, I'm God. I'm God. I'm God. I'm God. I'm God. I'm good. I don't need all this. I'm good. I don't need all this. If it comes, great, but I don't need it. Two, I need this stuff. We started needing these things. We started craving it. We started going into like sinful behaviors, right? We started turning our backs on God and thinking this stuff was what was going to give us what God always was giving us. And then what happens is as we do this, there are these darker type of energies that start to bubble up kind of like in the unseen world that we can call kind of demonic energies. They feed off of our addictions. They feed off of our fears. They feed off our anger. And as we keep being fed, this is what you need, this is what you need, keep doing this, keep doing this, keep doing this, these demonic energies start to increase. They start to uh, infiltrate and they start to like multiply almost. And then they feed off of other people. And then you engage with some, like, it's just after thousands of years, there is this inorganic timeline that we've been walking down, which is the disconnection from God's light, no matter what you think. You may think you've been connecting to God, but unless that light's been moving through you and into you, there's been a disconnect. And not only has there been a disconnect for the entire planet, um, but we have been fed the illusion that this is how you receive what only God can give you as you, right? So I get happiness here, I get peace here. Even if you're doing all this like inner work, it's still not God. I get peace by doing these types of things. I get calm by doing these types of things. Everything is anything other than going straight to God. And that's really the spiritual battle is these beings that came in and were like, I know how to do this to control humanity. And what happens, as you're aware of, is when you start to drink the light of God back into your body, you become free. You start to see, holy shiitake mushrooms. They have lied to, I mean, this is an awakening that's way beyond like, oh, the government lies to you. And oh, it's all this, the deep state's lying to you. It's like, you want to know the biggest freaking lie? Is that we've never been connected to God ever for the last 7,000 years. And nobody wants to believe that. Nobody, especially if you have an ego in the spiritual community, you definitely don't want to hear that, right? Like, no, 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 no. So the spiritual battle is very, very real. Demonic energies are infiltrated. They are running rampant on this planet right now. And it's all around our addictive behaviors. And by the way, we're all addicted. It's not like, oh, I'm an alcoholic or a drug addict, or it's not that kind of addiction. It's you're addicted to the phone. You're addicted to, constantly being busy. You're addicted to constantly being in activities with people. You're addicted to isolation, let's say. There's all kinds of things that we are addicted to that help us navigate what's happening on the planet. And here's the last piece I'll say about this is most of these are most of this, obviously it's not who we are, it's the demonic energies inside of us that are feeding off of that behavior. And because it's feeding off of that behavior, it tells us to keep doing it. We've thought we've got these problems because of trauma and all of that. And on one level, on one layer, that is true. But most trauma that came into your life came in from someone else, correct?
Mhm.
Those people had demonic energies in them. And when the trauma happened, the demonic energies jumped into you, became like a parasitic energy. That's why fasting is so important, fasting and prayer, because they'll get rid of the demonic energies, which you've had experience with. When you start recognizing that we've done nothing wrong to call in these demons, we've done nothing wrong at all. This is just how the battle has worked for thousands of years. If someone does, I was sexually abused as a young child. Jesus showed me the moment that person abused me, their demonic energies entered my body. And so now all of a sudden I was infiltrated by these dark, weird energies. And it happened to him, right? And it happened to that person. And so we've been seeing this as some sort of like self-help thing that we need to navigate. But really it's simply demonic energies that jump into each person's lineage, right? And it's about learning how to get rid of those demonic energies. That to me is the next level of awareness. That's why fasting and prayer is, in my opinion, the most powerful, potent, and important tool that all of humanity should be doing, not for health benefits, although it's really great for health benefits, but it's to be able to clear out every single freaking demon that we have no idea about that's inside our bodies, telling us that we need these things and crave these things and keep doing these things. It's wild.
Oh God, there's so much there. It's just so much truth is being shared right now because fasting has been a huge part of my life. And yeah, would you say that fasting is the only way to get rid of these demons, or are there other ways?
I think there's tons of ways. I've only experienced it um, through fasting. But I think you can get exorcisms done, like those things work. Um, from priests, they'll exorcise the demons out of you. I wouldn't go to I wouldn't do anything like I would be very cautious with letting other people do anything to my body unless it's like a legit priest, right? Like I'm going to go to Jesus and I'm going to go to God and I'm going to be like, you guys do it, right? I'm very weary at this point on the planet with anybody um, doing anything with my body and my energy. In fact, I went to an amazing massage therapist that I started going to for a couple times, but she started doing more energy stuff and I had to stop because I don't. It is so chaotic in the astral realms right now that I don't want anyone doing anything energetic with me ever at all. Like I'm good. I've got the light of God. I got Yeshua. I'm good. Um, so I think like fasting. If you feel like you have like an addiction to stuff, and you set a prayer and you fast for a while, it'll go, it'll leave. But you got to fast more than just like a day or two. It's not easy. Um, you could just keep praying on it, or you could, I don't know, go see a priest. Even if you're not religious, the priest will exorcise it out. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just diving into this whole stuff, so I'm
Yeah.
sure it will unravel and I'm sure more people will. But I think a lot of people are wanting to do that, right? Like, well, what do I do? How can I get it out of me? Like, I want to clear this out. And so, what would I suggest to those people? Start start exploring fasting, which is you could fast off anything, anything. It truly doesn't matter what you're fasting off of. Um, because everything that you're fasting off of is something that has a stronghold over you, which means that your focus is on it instead of God. So the more your focus can be on God, the more the demons are going to inadvertently or very vertently, if that's even a word, be pulled out of you. Literally, the light of God will do it. And that's why for me, I fast and pray because God's going to do something to whatever's inside of me that doesn't belong there anymore. Um, and so I sit with that and I let God's light do the work. Um, because here's the thing, one last thing about fasting. The reason I think we should put that at the top right now is because we are controlled by desire. So temptations, we're addicted to things. And so again, if we go back to the beginning of the spiritual battle, how did they start controlling us? Disconnect this and get us into temptations, desires. Oh my God, that sounds so great. Yeah, I would love to have that. Oh my God, I want that. Oh my God. And then when you have it, one taste of it, you're like, I want more money. I want more fame. I want more followers. I want more. It's the seven deadly sins. And it feels good. So then you want more of it. And all that does is pull you from the light of God, which is your natural state. So when you fast off of something, okay, that typically has a stronghold, which means it pulls you, you don't have control really over it. When you fast, you're saying to God, listen, God, I'm willing to let this go so that I can be with you. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be irritable. I'm going to be humble. But I want you, God. I want your light, God. I want your light and only your light. And I know that your light can do what this stronghold has been doing for me instead. Like, I want you to fill me up instead of this stronghold. And so it could be off of social media, off of YouTube, off of visiting family and friends, off of being a people pleaser, off of always saying yes, off of food, off whatever it is. Do it. Do it for a day, do it for a week, do it for a month. Your life will change,
Yeah, it really
as you
will.
know.
Yeah, it really will. And for when I did your 40 days with God class, God delivered me from demonic energies on day 30. And it was like God gave me the exorcism. I didn't need to go to a priest, and that it wasn't something that I'd expected to have, but it was so powerful. It literally was, it just brought me in such greater faith with God, and the amount of peace I felt after that for weeks and weeks. And then I even knew when things were starting to change, because it's like, my peace is being disturbed, something's not quite right. So it was like, what have I been doing, where have I been? So you just get really acutely aware, don't you? And a very powerful breathwork session that you brought someone into the community to do, and I just heard the word, like, I was going to watch the recording. It was like 2 weeks after he posted it, and I just heard breath work because I felt something was off after Christmas. And then that delivered me through God, bringing God's light in as well as doing the breath
Yeah.
work. And again, it was demonic energies leaving, and they didn't want to go. I really felt it. It's such an experience that nobody can say there's not a spiritual battle. Maybe, and because I've seen it in my own life with one of the sins, gluttony, for example. And I'm so healthy, like predominantly raw vegan, fast loads. But sometimes it's this energy of just wanting to overeat, overconsume. And I don't even want the food. And it's like, oh, it's a date, it's healthy, or it's all healthy food, but it's a stronghold. I know it's not me. It's like I am literally being pulled into the kitchen, or I'm being pulled somewhere. And I know it's not me. And it's just becoming so acutely aware. And when God delivers you from these demonic energies, you're just like, you want to give your life over to God. And because
Yeah, you can't deny it. Like some people are probably listening, like, "Oh, that's not demonic. That's just you unable to blah." Right there's all these other ways of seeing it, but
yeah.
once you actually experience the demonic energies leaving
Mm-hmm.
and the drastic difference overnight,
Mm-hmm.
literally not even overnight, instantaneously, the moment the demonic energies come out of you, there is a like you're just completely different.
It's the leaving part, isn't it? That is the key. It's when they leave. And the first time out, it felt like God came into my body and was just like, get out of her. That's literally what it felt like. God was saying, get out of her. And it was very profound. So I totally hear what you're saying for sure. And yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I really want to touch on something that you've been teaching in the community and just on YouTube as well, is about the God particle. And what is that? Why is that important? And how is that going to help us in this evolution?
Yeah, it's interesting. The God particle came to me last October, 2024. So I guess not last October, October of 2024. I was in Kenya and traveling around and got to this lake, and it was this really profound lake. And I felt this really, I can chant, I can pick up energies and I just like channel things, right? And I felt these like galactic beings inside the lake. They call themselves the Ancient Ones, and they were talking about the God particle. And I was like, what's the God particle? And they started sharing, right? And they're like, you're going to write your next book on the God particle. And I was like, yes, I got my next book. I'm going to be channeling the Ancient Ones. It's all about the God particle. So that was in October of 2024. I go back to that same lake in January, completely ready to write this book, right? Like, and I had just started talking to Jesus. And if you guys remember, December of 2024 is when I said to Jesus and God, I'm giving you my whole life. Okay, so now it's January. I just connected with the Ancient Ones in October. I heard about the God particle. I'm like, let's go. This is going to be so awesome. A week in, Jesus, a weekend, I get rattled. I get like pummeled energetically, emotionally, mentally, physically, like overnight. It's just something's not right. I have a breakdown. I'm like, I need to leave. I need to stop this. I can't do this. I got to go home. I just had like this like massive breakdown. Jesus comes into the tent and he's like, you're not writing this book. Now, he didn't tell me that I would be writing it with him. He just said, you're not writing this book. Stop. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to stop. So I stopped. And in August of this year, he came in again. I mean, he was always in, but he came into my room one night. He said, start writing. And then he told me, you and I are writing a book, and it's the beginning of the God particle. And so basically, what the God particle is it is a little energetic particle, right? That is placed within our heart center as part of the body's design. And it is designed to turn on or be activated when the light of God is moving through the body. So long as the light of God is moving, this particle will slowly begin to kind of, let's just say that it spins, right? I don't know what it actually does, but it starts to move, it turns on. And as this particle turns on, we are shown through these codes, light, energy, how to live godlike. So it's almost like information starts to kind of spew out of that particle, and we inadvertently, like not even on purpose, we start becoming godlike. We start acting godlike. It's how we kind of merge the high frequency light of God into physicality. It's like, how do I be God, right? Like I can feel God moving through me. I know I'm an aspect of God, but now how do I, it's like the piece that gives us the to do. Um, and so what happens when that particle begins to activate is very not naturally, just like your heart beats. How does your heart beat? You don't do it. Just like your lungs expand and contract. Well, how does that happen? You don't do it. It's the same thing with God being godlike. We are never going to be able to do being godlike. You see all these people trying to be godlike, trying to move into the 5D, trying to do all these things. That's not how it works. That's the ego. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to do. When God comes in and starts activating this, and you've already felt this, you naturally start feeling different. They're like, well, this is kind of cool. Like, I didn't do anything, right? That's the God particle being activated by that light coming in. So we can't do it. We can focus on God coming in and knowing that this is what's happening, but it's a necessary part of our evolution. And the reason it hasn't been activated, the reason why we don't see people authentically living godlike, they can pretend it on screen and tell you they are, but authentically, the reason we don't see people authentically really living godlike, and I think it's important, this is going to be a trigger for people, but what you see online is not necessarily who that person is. And so a lot of people are presenting themselves as these advanced people that are spiritual. And trust me, I know a lot of them and I know what they actually are behind the scenes. And people, I'm talking big spiritual teachers, you would be shocked, right? So we think that what that we're in charge and that we're going to do it because we see other people like, oh, well, they're doing it because they're talking about how they're this and that. It's almost impossible because the God particle hasn't been activated in the human yet, because the light of God is not coming back down into the human bodies yet. And people don't like that. But the light of God has to come in, and you're a testament to it. When it comes in, it happens pretty quickly. You just start to kind of feel a little different. And then it's just a process. It slowly begins to become more activated and it's natural. It starts to just, you will be very different in a year than you are right now. Not because you're going to practice doing something or heal something or fix something. It's the greatest thing ever. It's because God's going to keep spinning that light of God is going to keep activating this, not by you doing anything, thank God. And you're going to start naturally feeling more of your innate godliness. And that is the missing piece for most of us on this planet. Um, it's like the the holy grail of like awakening in the next level, the next phase. But we are very stuck in our ways, as we know, and we like our belief systems and our programs and all of that. And so it will take quite some time, I believe, for humanity to potentially embrace this. But if they can just bring the light of God in, that particle activates slowly. It's
Yeah.
inevitable.
It's just a natural process, isn't it? And so you kind of like just carry on doing what you're doing, but bring that light in and things will just change, right?
Yeah. And demonic energies will start moving out of your body unbeknownst to you, right? You'll just have
Hmm.
like an experience like you had. I think the experience you had is probably, if I were to guess, like what's going to happen for most of humanity, I would guess that it's probably going to be very similar to your experience, where it just happens out of the blue,
Mm.
as opposed to my experience, where it was a really long water fast, um, that a deep, committed. Most of humanity doesn't have that time or that the ability to go and do that. Most of humanity
Mm.
is trying to survive life. So I have a feeling it's going to happen more like how you experienced it. Instead of us trying to figure out how to get rid of the demons, God's just going to deliver you from it.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
makes the most sense.
Yeah, definitely. And have you, obviously, there's so much infiltration, distortions, and we were aware of the spiritual battle. Have you, since coming to Jesus and maybe God, like questioned it to say, oh, am I being pulled into like an infiltrated another box here, or are you just innately knowing? Because I'm questioning everything now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you start to question. I mean, every single day I am questioning. Well, I'll say this. I'm definitely not questioning Yeshua or God. I'm not questioning the book I'm writing. The more you sit in stillness, the more you sit in stillness, the more you sit with the intention of God as your only focus, which means all I do is focus on God. And if I am focusing on my Instagram and doing my posts and my things, as long as I am aware that I'm not focusing on God in that moment and I need to eventually focus back on God, then I am as pure as I could possibly be by still being in the human experience. Um, everything's the game. Everything is the game. The God particle is the game. Disconnected from God's light is the game. The spiritual battle is the game. Yeshua is part of the game. Like it's all part of the game we're playing. So you can't, people that say, well, you're just in another program, it's like everything is the program. You can't, you're everything. It's impossible to be in the game and say you're not in the game. It's
Yeah.
impossible. So everything is part of the program. I think what you're getting to is what's pure
Mm.
and what is pulling me and distorting. Where's the
Mm.
distortion, right? Um, and that is really challenging as you start to connect with the light of God because you're realizing how distorted everything is. Um, everything you watch, you're probably like, okay, how pure is this? What's this doing to my body? What's this doing to my energy? What's this doing to my mind? Right? You start doing that more and more. Um, and it's really about the purity of everything you're in, every action you're taking, every word you're saying, and watching you wobble. I wobble, right? I'm like, well, that wasn't very pure. Well, that was full of ego. Well, that was really judgmental. Like you're just like, it just becomes more and more clear how out of alignment with God's light you are. And then you just, all you do is just realign, just come back. And how do you come back? You just breathe God's light back in for a moment, for one moment, and you're just like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. But what I've noticed for myself really quickly is if I don't sit with Jesus for 30 minutes every morning, I am completely out of whack the entire day. I'm infiltrated. I'm in ego a lot. I am fighting against things. Um, and so I have to sit every single day, set my phone for 30 minutes and just sit there with Jesus every single morning in order for me to be able to take on the day without myself getting in the way. And even then, it gets in the way. The biggest thing I have right now is my ego. It's so loud. I'm like, oh, look how good I was. Oh, look how good that was. Oh, wow. Look. It's like, Lorie, stop it. I'm like, I can't. I think that, like, your ego is so annoying. Like, because you're working for God, right? It's all God. But I'm like, oh, I did good. And it's like, no, you didn't do good. God was working through you. Like, chill, like,
Mm,
chill. So that piece is like really humbling to,
yeah.
but it's so beautiful to watch that piece, kind of watch yourself play with that piece is like, okay, I know that I'm working with God. I know that I'm letting God use me and that's all I want. But like, sometimes you're just like, yeah, that was a good one, or like,
Yeah.
so it's like, no, check yourself. Like,
It's the
you know?
humility, isn't it? You're like really working with that and being humble for sure. And it's like, no, I didn't do that. God did that because I've experienced that same thing. It's like, no, get yourself out of the way. Like, come on. And I think one of the things that's just reminded me is when we were bringing in the light in your 40-day class, I'm always the driver of the car. And this time, where I was doing the replay, I was like, oh, I'm going to catch up on the replay. I was in the back seat. And there was a bit of traffic. And you actually said when we were bringing in the light, imagine you're in the passenger and God's saying to you, like, let me take the wheel. And I was like, I was first time I've been in a passenger of a car, I felt like for years. And that has really stuck to me. Just that just came in there. I was just thinking about that. It's
Oh,
like just literally just allow God to just drive the vehicle, put the hand on the wheel, and just get in the back seat and really just watch your life unfold. And yeah, just know get yourself out of the way because God's the one who's doing it, right?
yeah. Figuring out how to have that action, that surrendered action, right? Where it's like, because when you do start inviting God in and you do start handing your life to God, and you do start, you know, letting God sort of lead you more, God's going to lead you. Like God's going to start saying, like, intuit through your intuition, through your knowingness. You're just going to start feeling like you're supposed to go do this, and now you got to go do this, and it just happens, right? But God's going to drive you out of what's no longer working and drive you into what is. And you don't know how. You can't see. Like, well, why is this happening? I don't know why, but God's doing it. Well, why are we going in that direction? I don't know why, but God's driving the car. So stop asking questions. Like, God knows where God's taking you. Stop asking questions. Stop saying this shouldn't happen. Stop saying, why is this happening? But the action part is that you're still giving him you still handed him the map and said, I'd like to go here, right? So like you're still taking action in the sense that maybe you're grabbing your Doritos, maybe you're taking a nap, maybe you're deciding that you have to go to the bathroom, maybe you're telling him that you want to go over here on this side of the road to look at that tree. Like you're learning how to co-create. So you get up every day, you go to your job, maybe you take care of your children, but you are letting God lead the day. So you know that God is leading you. So, yes, you're doing all the things you have to do throughout your day, but you're now starting to practice that something bigger is actually leading you through your day. So there could never be something wrong that happens during your day. There can be something that feels wrong, like, why did this happen? But if you know that you're the passenger and God's leading you, it becomes this profoundly awesome, beautiful, heck yeah, experience in life where you're stoked because no matter what happens, even the most horrific things, you know God's driving the ship. So, okay, let's figure this out. Now what are we going to do? And you really start living life. Man, I don't even have words. I really don't have words for what it's like to know that God's driving the car and you're the passenger. It's practice though, because you have to
Mm,
learn faith, which is one of the most, you'll be initiated. I don't know if you've had these initiations yet, but you're initiated into faith, which is basically, actually, you're having it right now, right? You are being asked to do something different and it's scary and you don't know how and you don't know if it's going to work. And like, you got to have faith that no matter what, this is the next step. You got to have faith that no matter how it unravels, God's got you. You have to
mm,
learn how to know that God's got you. So it's not about the outcome. It's not
mm,
about the result. One of the ways that God used to, well, actually, Yeshua taught me this, the way to really trust and have faith in Jesus or in God is you've got to be okay. Okay, so you have to feel into the felt sense of being okay with the worst case scenario, right? So it's like, what's the worst case scenario? And then you're like, okay, the worst case scenario is I fail. Okay, great. So are you okay with that happening? And if you're like, that's what faith is. Faith is saying, I'm okay with that happening. I'm going to hand you this, and I'm okay if the worst case scenario happens because I know that you're the one leading it. And when you can do that, God's like, thank you so much for handing me everything. Now I'm going to wow you. And then God
mm.
wows you. But we got to
Yeah.
get to that place, right? Where you're
Mm,
like, okay, I fully and completely trust. I'm okay with the worst case scenario. But it's an
mm,
energy that has to be felt in the body. Um, and it's uncomfortable because it's nauseating in a sense because that type of letting go, especially if you're a control freak like me, that type of letting go is like, well, how do I know? How do I know? Well, I could do it better. Well, I could just control this and make this outcome look like this. Um, but then you still have to take the action and still have to do the thing. So you play with that dance between how much am I controlling because I don't have faith, and how much am I actually putting into that faith? It takes
mm.
practice.
Yeah. And I think, self-inquiry and contemplation is massive. We've got to be asking ourselves the questions to be able to have these revelations and really start to feel into it. And I've always been quite big on that. And in your community, you channeled Yogananda. And literally the day before, I was clearing a load of things out, and I had that book, Autobiography of Yogananda. And I went, oh, do I get rid of that? And I put it in my heart, well, I'm not ready to get rid of it yet. And then the next day, you were channeling him. I was like, wow, perfect. And he was saying, what was it, meditative contemplation? And I was like, yeah, that makes sense because
Yeah.
previously I'd read the word meditate means to think on, and the infiltration is like to not think and let go of thoughts. And I was like, oh God. And so many like puzzle pieces and parallels and like things from the Bible and scripture are popping at me. It's like God speaking to me, and especially with Yeshua and the words that he's just, I'm not channeling as much now. And I did a channeling the other day and I felt a bit off the next day, and I cleared a lot. And I'm like, oh, am I meant to be channeling? But I enjoyed channeling. I like connecting in with my higher self. It's like actually, it doesn't feel write anymore. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe
I know.
even the light language. I remember like when, because I did a 40-day fast, a juice fast, and that's when my channeling got activated, and then light
Wow.
language and all of that. And so it's yeah, so it's letting that go. And then I've heard about tongues as well. I'm like, oh, what is tongues? Apparently that light language is the infiltrated version of tongues. I'm like, what is all of this? So it's just a lot's being revealed, and it's fascinating. But I'm like, really? But God is placing on my heart to do another 40-day fast, which I start on the 1st of February. And it's a 40-day devotional fast, I'm calling it. So
Wow.
yeah, and it's just interesting where I'm like, what again? Really?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, right, let's go. And there's people in the community that are actually going to do it and join this time. So I won't be doing it on my own. And I'm just
Yeah.
trusting that it's what God is asking me to do, and I'm obeying.
You're obeying. Yeah, keep listening to that voice, like that new type of knowingness that you have, because my experience working with God is that there is all there, it's like you're going to work.
Mm,
Like there's preparation and there's work and it's like, okay, now you need to do this and now you need to do this. And because it's not a joke to work God's light through your body and serve it. Like it's not for the faint of heart. And like God's not just going to, willy-nilly work through you. If God's gonna use your body, God's gonna want you to be disciplined in how it needs you to be. Otherwise, it won't be as
mm,
effective. It won't be as pure. You'll just know God and talk about God, but God won't be able to work through you. So
mm,
if God wants to work through you, which is what's happening to you, um, you've got to do what God's asking you to do. You have to be obedient to it,
mm,
right? And it becomes a real fascinating uh, life that you're going to find yourself in where you know that
mm,
that God's guiding, God's preparing you, God's leading you to the next thing, you with beyond a shadow of a doubt, like,
mm,
and then you just go deeper into it. You're just like, okay, I want more. I want more.
mm,
And then it starts to show in your service and in what you, and how you present, and people will start noticing and people will start shifting as well. And like, it just becomes this beautiful, organic domino effect.
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think really quickly, I want to go back to something you said that is so freaking important because this is what happens when I sit with Jesus for 30 minutes every day. I'm thinking. I'm like having conversations. I'm thinking about this. I'm like, I'm all over the place. And that's what he wants. He's like, yeah, what else? Like, what else? What else is going on in there? What else is coming? That's where I'm most creative.
Mm,
And so they don't, like you said, the infiltration is don't think, don't hear your thoughts, right? Don't be in that space of where's God? Is God here? Don't question that. Don't be creative. So they distract us and they distract us and they distract us. And now we've got AI. So now we don't even have to be creative, right? And so it's this real massive push to that inorganic timeline, which is don't sit, don't be still, don't listen to thought.
mm.
We
Yeah.
should be listening to thought.
Yeah. So many distractions, but yeah, like you say, it's all part of the game. But once you start connecting in with that light, all of that noise and that tries to pull you out, you just are aware of it and go, no, it's the narrow path, as Yeshua says. Just go on that narrow path. And I'm realizing why he says that. And so yeah, it's fascinating. Oh, this has been
Yeah.
amazing, honestly. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your amazing wisdom. And just anybody, like, please join Lorie's community. It is absolutely amazing. She shows up like and shares great wisdom, and you're just getting snippets of it now. And so there's lots of practical tools and things that Lorie shared today. Just breathing God's light, stillness, contemplation, all of these things. Is there anything else I've missed that you think we can do? Fasting, prayer.
Fasting, breathing in God's light, like literally like just saying, God, I'm inviting the light of God into my body. I'm inviting the light of God in, and then I'm breathing God's light into me. And even if you sit quietly for a minute, close your eyes and just breathe and imagine you're breathing in the light of God. Even doing that every day, one time a day, 10 times a day, 30 times a day, as often as you can remember, that's going to change you. It will. It
Mhm,
absolutely will. Um, It's designed to be easy.
Yeah. And actually, a friend said to me, "Is it that simple?" I was like, "I know, right?" So, do we overcomplicate things? So anything that's too complicated, just no, go the other way. It can be simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And I'd love, knowing the power of prayer now, I would love for you to like close us off with a prayer for everybody watching. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay, everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Just drop into this moment. Such an honor and a gift to be able to connect with everybody, everybody being able to connect with everyone. And just inviting in God's light into our bodies, moving through our mind, moving into our hearts. God, I just ask that you come into our bodies right now. I ask that every single person watching this, wherever they are in the world, that they receive your light, that they are experiencing you in some way, whether it's right now or in a couple of hours or in a couple of days. God, I ask that you soften their hearts, soften their bodies right now. God, I ask that you show them peace. God, I ask that you remind them of who you are and who they are. God, I ask that you shine brighter. I ask that you walk with them today and tomorrow and the rest of their life. God, I ask that you shine the path in front of them so they are never alone. God, I ask that you never leave their side. Take out what doesn't serve them. Show them what they need to see. Keep opening them, God. And just take a deep breath in and let it out. Thank you, God. Thank you, everyone that is here. And with that, I say amen. It's incredible realizing what God has the ability to do.
And how simple it is. Keep going back to that. It's like so simple.
Yeah.
And you've got some amazing offerings coming up. One starting next week. Do you want to talk about that? Which I cannot wait for. I'm so excited.
Oh, yay. Are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm booked on.
Oh,
Yes, you
gosh.
actually said, he goes, "I'm personally inviting you." I was like, "I'm there." Because I was like, "Oh, shall I attend?" I wasn't sure if I was going to. And then I was like, now I'm like, why would I not do it? Like, of course, was, oh, God.
It's not even my class, it's Jesus's
I
class.
know. Yeah.
He's like, because I was even sitting here. So basically, all of you that are like, what are they talking about? There's a class I start on the 14th of January. It goes until February 3rd. It's 21 days with Jesus. And basically, it's every day for 30 minutes. We are going to sit and we're going to bring Jesus into the room. So you'll bring Jesus in, Jesus will sit with you, and we just learn ways to connect deeper to him, build a relationship with him, get to know him. What does he feel like? What does he sound like? And it's a lot of uh, every day is time spent with him. It's not about religion or the Bible or any of that, really not even his teachings. It's about really experiencing him and letting that change you. And it's funny that, yes, this morning, I think when I was sitting in my 30 minutes, I was like, so what are we doing during the class? And he's like, don't worry about it. It's my class. Like, like, I got it. I got it. Like, he's so excited because he's, getting an opportunity, I guess, to like, um, have the ability to sort of penetrate people in ways that he doesn't always have. So, yeah, I think it's going to surprise people in the best way, I
Yeah.
do. I think I pray that a lot of people join that are
Mm,
skeptical or disconnected or have trauma with religion. I really hope they join because to get to know him from a personal, your own unique personal experience is, in my opinion, the most important thing. And
mm.
yeah, so we'll see what he wants. We'll see what he's gonna do. He's probably gonna knock our socks off.
Oh God, I highly recommend people join because I did your 3 day walking with Yeshua and I had no idea. I'm not religious and it changed my life. So I wouldn't be here right now having this conversation if I didn't do it. So
Wow, it
um
was that class, Stillness with Yeshua. It was that
yeah, the
class.
3 days, yeah, last year.
Wow.
Yeah. It just opened up. And then I started watching The Chosen because people were talking about The Chosen. I was like, what's The Chosen? I was like, he did miracles. It's not just a story. I thought he was a master like you. And I'm like, no, now I know he is the embodiment of God. Like, I just know that. Like, he's the only one who came as human, like God incarnate as human. No one else has done that. That's what I believe anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and how much
Oh,
he
wow.
loves
So that was the
humanity as well.
beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
It's
Yeah, it's life
amazing.
changing. It's life changing. Yeah.
Brilliant. And how can people find you if they want a book or best way?
Go to lorieladd.com. That is the website. That's where you can find the class. And all of my Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube should all be on my website as well. But it's just Lorie Ladd. If you Google Lorie, Lorie Ladd, you'll find me.
Amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time today. And yeah, please do like, subscribe, comment, and yes, reach out to Laurie and join the community. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Bye,
Thanks
everyone.
everybody for watching. Take care. Have a blessed day.